I think advent calendars are very, very good for kids because it teaches you discipline. Like, even as an adult, I'm struggling to just have one chocolate out of that. Good morning. It's day 2 of Vlogmas. I am happy to be back daily vlogging, but I tell you what, the struggle is real when it comes to editing and getting videos out on time. I'm running so late for work right now. I've not even had the chance to dry my hair. Like, this is how you get the flu in this weather. It's like, what, 1 degree out right now, and I'm coming out with a soaking wet head, which is not good. But I tell you what, I'll leave the story. I'll leave the stories to why I'm running late for later, because I've really got... Right, I don't know if it's just me that these things happen to, but the only day I do not want a tractor in front of me is today. Yep, right behind the tractor. And he ain't let me by. I've already tried to get by him, and he literally went to the other side of the road. So, not only is he very slow, he's also a fucking arsehole. I've made it to work just about on time. It's really cold out. It's cool because it is December, so I'm fully accepting now that it's going to be cold. So I want to show you guys the reason that I wasn't too late. Like, we're talking a couple of minutes, but it was just stressing me out because I thought it was going to be really late. So last night, once I finished recording, I obviously came up here to begin editing. I had a glass of water. This camera right now, I went to put that back up. This is going to be the pretend pint glass of water because I'm scared to do it. You can guess what's going to happen here, can't you? And this is now my camera. I went to put the camera into the back corner, and as I lifted it up, the bottom of the camera hit the pint glass, which was filled with water, and the water came straight out and into my laptop. It was just a disaster. So I literally spent about 2.5 hours last night when I was about to start editing, cleaning and trying to dry out my MacBook. I'd done that until around 2:30 AM this morning. I woke up this morning then around 6:30 to get this edit done. The computer was sort of working, sort of wasn't working, and now it's working again. Like, all the keys are working fine, so happy days. I hope it stays like that, because otherwise I don't know what I'll do. Even Frankie gets an advent calendar for Christmas. Hey, get your advent calendar, mate. Get it.
No, you don't have. No, that's paper.
Good boy.
There it is. Right, come back tomorrow for number 3. Guys, look at it.
Before anyone jumps in the comment section saying that I shouldn't be feeding dogs chocolate, it says like, for dogs. Look at my Christmas pajamas. Like, getting right in the festive spirit. Hold on, let me put this. In all seriousness, I'm not setting up the studio lighting and stuff to talk about my Christmas pajamas. I want to share with you guys. It's a sort of depressing story in a way for me, because it's not like a massive deal. It's just a story that I want to share because it's probably something quite unique to me. It's an experience that I had that I certainly don't ever want to have again. And yeah, it's just not a nice memory for me, and I just figured that it's a good time to sort of get it off my chest now, as it's only the 2nd of December, and then basically try and have more cheerful sort of movements going forward. But there is sort of a cheerful element to it as well. So before I tell this story, we've got to rewind all the way back. So as you know from my accent, I grew up in Scotland. That's where I went to school. That's where I got my first ever job. Once I left school and once I started working, I wanted to sort of move away to sort of broaden my experience. So I made the decision to move down south. So I moved to a place called North Yorkshire. I was into horse racing, relatively well-known horse racing trainer that was based up in that area. So I applied for the job there. I got the job. I decided I was going to go for it. I was only 19 at the time. I met up with the boss who I was going to be working for, and you know, everyone was really nice, really welcoming. They had a house that they rented out to their workers. So went to the house. There was like 6 rooms in that house with a little kitchen, and to be honest with you, like it was a shithole. How can I describe it? It was horrible. Like, it was just awful living conditions. Like, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was like stuff living on the plates and stuff that they had eaten off and just left. Like, it was a big shock to the system, having lived at home and then getting thrown into that sort of environment, knowing that I'm effectively 500 miles away from my house. But to be honest with you, at the time I loved it, because for me it was like a sense of like, I'm growing up, it's a challenge, this is what it must be like. You know, it felt like my own place. Even though I was living with other people that I didn't know, it felt like my own place. I was living in my own little place. I had full control of, you know, I could do what I want without anyone sort of saying. I can stay up all night, I can do what I want, and at that age that was great. So it came to Christmas time. I think he had around 90 racehorses at the time, and Boxing Day, if you don't know, is a massive day in the horse racing industry. Like, the horses don't know that it's Christmas. They need to be fed, they need to be watered, they need to be looked after. You know, half of us had to work Christmas and half of us had to work New Year. That was sort of the thing. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I decided to work Christmas. And all I can remember, this winter, it was like -10. There was no cars coming in, there was no cars going out. It was like gridlock. They had like little water dispensers, right, to put it into perspective. They were like automatic, so the horse would drink from the water dispenser in their stable. So as they were having a drink, it would fill up automatically with water. But because it was so cold, all the pipes, even though they were insulated, had completely frozen. So we had to go into a house that was about 10-minute walk in these conditions, with buckets of water, because it was the only source of water at the time, and basically walk with buckets for all the horses. So that's just to give you a bit of context of how cold it was. It was like 2 foot of snow, like I say, complete gridlock, no one coming in, no one going out. So to be honest with you, in a way, I was just like, well, I'm sort of glad that I did decide to work Christmas, because if I didn't, then I'd be sort of like a bit frustrated because I wouldn't be able to go home. So everyone that was in my house decided to go home for Christmas. Fast forward now to Christmas morning. This has to be the worst Christmas of my life, and I hope to never have one even close to this Christmas day ever again in my whole life. So basically, at the back of the stables, the boss I was working for at the time had more horses that were just living out in the field. So I took the big digger, filled it all up with all their food and stuff, and I drove it to the field in 2 foot of snow, was sliding all over the road, and made sure the horses were fed. Turned around, I've drove back to the yard, which again was about 10 to 15 minute drive back to the yard, and then it was about 10 to 15 minute walk home. So I've proceeded then to walk home. It's now around 11 AM on Christmas morning. Snow's still falling, it's really cold, and I can remember like it was like I'm doing it now. I was walking down the road from my work to the house, and I can just remember the snow crunching under my feet. And I honestly started crying, because like my whole life I dreamt of a white Christmas and I'd never got one. And I just remember walking down to my house, and it was like the most picturesque, amazing, beautiful white Christmas that you would ever imagine. And I had no one to share it with. So I got home, and I went to go into the front door of the house, and I'd lost my keys. It was a disaster. So the only place they were is in my pocket, so I had to go back up to the yard, get the digger, drive up to the field to try and find my keys in 2 foot deep snow when the snow's still falling. So it was honestly like looking for a needle in a haystack. I remember, like, because it was so cold, my windows were freezing on the inside. I was sleeping with like 5 duvet covers of a night time. When it then thawed out in the daytime, when the sun was on it, all the water was dripping into the wood. And I only remember this when I was in the field, so I just thought, well, if that's the case, then surely I can maybe, it's going to be weak and I can maybe slide my hand underneath. So I went back down, and that's exactly what I tried to do for about 45 minutes. And as I was trying to wedge my hand underneath the glass or the wood, I was kept filing away, and eventually I got it, but the glass smashed and it cut my hand right across here, and I was pouring with blood. And with that, I had access to my house, so I climbed through the window. It was freezing cold inside, obviously. To make matters worse, being a 19-year-old living on my own, I didn't prepare anything for Christmas dinner. The only thing I could even be bothered making at that time was super noodles. So around 2 So around 2 PM on Christmas Day, I can remember my window was smashed and I was eating super noodles on my single bed with 5 duvet covers around me, freezing cold, bleeding hand, and that was like the lowest point of my life to this moment. And like, it's not even a bad story really, but it was Christmas Day and it was a big thing for me, because Christmas to me is a really big thing, and it was just, yeah, it just wasn't a very nice experience. So I vowed from that point onwards that I wanted to work for myself. Like, realistically, if I wasn't even there, no one would have missed me. It was that bad, if that makes sense. It sort of made my skin a little bit thicker, made my shoulders a little bit broader, and it made me really appreciate the good moments in life a little bit more. And so, yeah, it was a terrible experience. Would I change it? Absolutely. Did it change me to be a better person? 100%, and I'm grateful for that. I just wanted to share that story with you guys, because ultimately it's quite a massive memory for me at Christmas. Like, I always sort of think about it whenever it comes to Christmas time. That's vlog 2, episode 2 of Vlogmas, however you want to say it. That's that done. If you've made it to this point, then thank you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take it easy. Much love.